Ever since I can remember, it's been a tradition of mine and most in the UK to sit down in front of the television set and watch The Snowman every single Christmas. The Snowman is such a festive treat. It's a really cosy film that really lights you up inside, but it's also a very sad film, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Snowman was originally a wordless children's picture book published in 1978 by author Raymond Briggs. The book is really quite beautiful, being drawn with pencil crayons, which gives it a really unique look. In 1982, The Snowman was adapted into a short animated film that was around 26 minutes in length. It is truly a beautiful looking piece of animation that was drawn using pencils, pastels and crayons, and other traditional animation techniques were used, so it had the same look and feel of the book, which leaves you with a warm, happy, fuzzy feeling. The story was expanded upon slightly to fill out the 26-minute runtime, and this was done by adding certain scenes. There was a scene that they added where the boy and the snowman go off on a motorcycle ride, and they also introduced a longer flight sequence which took the snowman and the boy on an adventure to the North Pole to see the snowman party, where he would meet many other snowmen and Father Christmas himself, who hands the boy a gift which is addressed to James. This was included by the animator Joanna Harrison, who named the boy James after her then boyfriend, now husband, because in the book the boy remained nameless. This was the first time he was actually given a name. At first, Raymond Briggs wasn't completely happy with the inclusion of the North Pole party, but I had to admit upon watching the film that it was a great inclusion and really added something special to the animated film. Another thing that was added to the story was Christmas, which was not a part of the original book, but once again even Raymond Briggs had to agree it worked perfectly for the story. Just as the book was wordless, the film also contained no dialogue apart from the introduction by Raymond Briggs himself, who portrayed an older version of the boy in the story, all grown up. A little later, a new introduction to the film was recorded, this time starring David Bowie, to add a bit more star power to the film. This is a version that I have always seen, but I think somehow the Raymond Briggs version works better considering it is his story. And then for the film's 20th anniversary, Raymond Briggs' interpretation of Father Christmas introduced the film, telling the viewer how he met James that time at the North Pole party, and the intro was animated in the traditional snowman style. Although the film contained no dialogue, music would be used quite effectively to bring the story alive, especially in the inclusion of the orchestral score Walking in the Air that was written by Howard Blake and sang by Peter Orty. We're walking in the air. And the song is absolutely brilliant, and I think it's what most people think of when they think of the Snowman. Well, apart from the ending, but we'll get into that a little later. Unfortunately, Peter Orty would not get the recognition he deserved, as the song only hit the heights of its popularity in 1985 when it was performed by child singer Aled Jones. Well, the original song was slightly altered for a Toys R Us commercial that was animated in the snowman fashion, with a teddy bear instead of a snowman flying through the air with the boy as they visit Toys R Us. This commercial sparked a new interest in the original song and quickly went to number 5 in the UK charts, but this time it was performed by Aled Jones and not Peter Orty. And for the longest time everyone just presumed, me included, that it was Aled's voice in the original film, when actually it wasn't. This animated film is an absolute pleasure to watch. It's utterly delightful, and somehow when the scenes in the film play out, it's almost as if you were there. What do I mean by that? Well, for me, when the snowman is being built, it's almost as though you can feel the cold and you can feel the texture of the snow just by watching the film. And when the snowman sits in front of the fireplace in the house, you almost feel as though you can feel the heat because it's animated and drawn in such a beautiful way. Then when they fly over the ocean, it's almost as though you can feel the ice cold spray of the water. This film will ignite your imagination. But as exciting and magical as this movie is, it's also quite sad, because after the adventure ends and the snowman and the boy return home, they embrace and the boy leaves the snowman in the garden and he goes back to bed. When he wakes up in the morning, he rushes downstairs, still wearing his pyjamas and his dressing gown, only to find that the snowman has melted. Okay, all jokes aside, my god, is this a sad scene. I still to this day remember the impact it had on my young heart the very first time I saw it. It's a absolutely crushing scene, as the boy pulls out a scarf given to him by Father Christmas at the party, proving that his friend was real, and now he was gone. That's it, that is how the film ends, leaving you absolutely heartbroken. And I hated this ending as a kid, and it still hits hard to this day, although I think it is somehow a perfect somber ending for the film. But don't despair, the Snowman did return briefly in 1991 for another animated film named Father Christmas, inspired by another Raymond Briggs book, which was also named Father Christmas, which was released in 1973 before the Snowman. And then he came back again in 2012 in his very own animated sequel titled The Snowman and the Snow Dog. This animated film was created for the 30th anniversary of the original film that was released in 1982, and the animation matched up to the original film as much as possible, obviously looking a bit cleaner with some CGI, but mostly hand-drawn. The Snowman remains a must-watch every Christmas, especially if you live in the UK, and I feel it did make its way over to the US, but it isn't as widely known over there as animations such as Frosty the Snowman and Charlie Brown's Christmas. And if you haven't seen The Snowman yet, I highly recommend you seek it out and give it a watch. It really will make your Christmas. And maybe, just maybe, if you build a snowman this year, he might just come alive.